So now I'd like to invite Simon Sharkey, my partner at the School of the Impossible initiative. He's going to present a little bit about the project, and then we're going to start talking with our guests, Barbara and Anna.
Thank you, Francine, and welcome everybody. It's brilliant to see such a good turnout at this conversation, which is about cross-sectoral collaboration. We felt that was a really urgent thing to talk about because we are a bit impotent and fed up of preaching to the choir about the strength of arts, its value and its impact on being able to move things forward. We know as artists and practitioners in this space what it does. What we're really keen to do is to have the conversations and dialogues with other social entrepreneurs who may not necessarily use art or artistry, and there's a distinction between them, in order to be able to move things forward. What I'd like to talk about and introduce you to some people that we've worked with in that realm of different sectors working together to achieve similar and the same goals, is School of the Impossible. It's a brilliant project that Francine and Plateau Cultural created in Brazil as part of an international teaching artist collaborative commission to look at the application of arts and creativity in tackling people's awareness and behaviours around climate change and climate impact. The pilot happened in Florianopolis in Brazil, and pretty soon after that we had an opportunity to work with British Council in international collaborative projects, which brought us together, and we opened up. Sorry?
Just the pilot happened in San Jose, Santa Catarina.
San Jose, yeah. And we opened up another pilot in Scotland so that there was international collaboration. But the most important part of that was that we weren't doing that in isolation as artists. We were doing it in tandem and in really close cooperation with the local authority, education authorities, but also by inviting in experts from the education departments to guide and to get involved and to be able to make it work. We have a little video to give you a sense of what the outcomes and the outputs were. And then what I'd like to do is just give a brief introduction to Barbara from Scotland and to talk about how Education Scotland as a partner or Barbara as a consultant as well, was able to make it work within the education system. Francine, if you'd like to show the video that gives people a sense of what we were doing. Brilliant. Thanks very much for sharing that, Francine. It's always brilliant to see the work at work and how it impacts those young children's lives and in the communities. And the other thing that I think is really clear and important from that video is how engaged they were, and how that is a different way of being able to learn and teach. And in Scotland, we're very lucky because we have what we call the Curriculum for Excellence, or the Scottish Curriculum. And Barbara Gray-Atherton is part of the team in Scotland's Scottish education who develop creativity into the curriculum. And I would like to pass over to Barbara and just invite her to talk a bit about how the cross-sectoral relationships between education and arts and artists works and what impact it has. Barbara, I'm going to pass over to you. Thanks.
Thanks, Simon. Thank you. Yeah, I mean, before we go on, you could see the engagement, as Simon said, of those young people in that film, and it was no different in Scotland. It was just the same. Great excitement, great engagement, fantastic learning going on across the curriculum. As Simon said, my role was to advise on the translation of the Brazil programme into Scottish curriculum outcomes. And it was a massive privilege to be involved in such an innovative project, a project which brought together the global environment and creativity in education, which really excites me, since my title is I work in the creative learning team at Education Scotland, which is the advisory board for Scottish Government. Fundamentally, the Scottish curriculum is underpinned by 4 capacities or purposes. And all learners are supported to become successful learners, confident individuals, effective contributors and responsible citizens. And you can just hear the words there. I mean, these are the purposes of our curriculum, which I think, as Simon says, is exciting. It leaves a lot of scope for creative approaches to learning and teaching in the classroom. We also have 4 broad contexts for learning: interdisciplinary learning, opportunities for personal achievement, the ethos and life of the school, and curriculum areas. And again, this project, School of the Impossible, brought all 4 together, with probably the most emphasis on interdisciplinary learning, but all the rest were there as well. The content of our curriculum is presented as experiences and outcomes, and what's important there is that they do provide guidance for teachers on what to teach, but they also provide guidance on how learners should learn. And we go for we promote a very experiential way, of learning. So this immersive experience absolutely, did exactly what we wanted to see. Learning for Sustainability has always been part of the Scottish curriculum, and we've got a Vision 2030 statement report that all learners have an entitlement to learning for sustainability, and that every school should have a whole school approach to learning for sustainability. That's a requirement of all schools in Scotland. And in 2019, an action plan set out by the government describes how those recommendations will be implemented. Just as another relevant part of the tapestry, Scotland also has a national creative learning plan. This is something that I'm very much involved in, and our mission is to embed creativity at the centre of Scottish education, essentially. So we're talking here about the arts, yes, but also, creativity in the round. So the School of the Impossible, I mean, for me, just realised the true potential in a number of ways of Curriculum for Excellence. Simon spoke about the partnership, the meaningful partnership between the local authority, the school, the artists, the educationalists, and all the joint planning and delivery that went on behind the scenes led to a very dynamic learning environment. To support the curriculum planning, each project episode was mapped to the relevant experiences and outcomes, so the content curriculum was already clear for the teachers so they could get immersed rather than the excitement of the creative side of things rather than get bogged down in the content. The theme, as you'll see, obviously is on sustainable development, and the creative approaches in the narrative were just, as Simon said, they excited and they engaged the learners all the way through the experience. The arrival of strange scientists and then a time-travelling bookshelf arriving and a portal and a journey to it continuously fascinating the learners. And of course, the visit from Masami, who it comes from the future, were absolutely magical. Importantly as well, throughout the project, the activities were stimulating, they were learner-led, problem-based and collaborative, and those themselves are integral features of what we would consider to be best practice in curriculum for excellence. The showcase events at the end provided a platform for the sharing of the learning with not the sole intention, but certainly with one of the intentions of provoking the community into more positive actions around climate change. And after all, that's what this is all about, saving the planet. Yeah, just great stuff. Let's have it in all schools in Scotland, Simon.
I wish. We do have plans to be able to expand the project across the world and build portals that can talk to each other. But Marcia and Francine, would you like to talk a wee bit about how that cross collaboration works between you in Brazil and internationally?
Yes, so yeah, the project started in San Jose, and the Department of San Jose is our key partner. They were with us since the beginning, and they co-created this initiative with us. And I'd love now to invite Ana Carolina to share a bit about the experience from their perspective. So I'll just share my screen so I can present the slides. So welcome, Ana Carolina, and thank you for being here.
Thank you. Welcome, everyone. I work at the Department of Education, and in 2021, our purpose was to add innovation and technology into education. In addition to machinery and equipment, it's much more than that, right? In education, we think about innovation and how technologies transform or can transform society. And in this scenario, we were invited to learn about Projeto Escola do Impossível, in Portuguese, the School of the Impossible, a pioneering hybrid teaching project here in Brazil designed for elementary school that discusses climate change through an immersive, gamified experience. And the Plateau Cultural team, Marcia and Francine, we started the meetings before the start of the project in the schools, and we were able to construct the project with the teachers before the implementation. In this sense, the teachers, they acted as creators and collaborators of the project. It was very important, their participation. Our biggest challenge was to encourage those teachers to put the project into practice, aiming the effectiveness of the actions. The collaboration of the teacher and the pedagogical team is very necessary. In the words of a school principal, the teachers were worried since the focus at that moment, 2021, was the recovery of learning on the return from an extensive pandemic period. At the same time, they were curious about the proposal because it was something new. It was very different from everything that we have heard before. So surrounded by a lot of imagination, creativity, care, and specific planning, the professionals were from fright to enchantment. Everybody waited for that moment of magic. We could see our students becoming more curious, more observant, and more astute. The activity, as we could see in the video, it begins with a mystery, the disappearance of books from the shelf that had been in the classroom since the beginning of the project, following clues and developing group dynamics that demonstrate the perception of collective care for the planet. The students discovered that the portal is located in the Atlantic Forest, in the Parque Ambiental de Sabiás, which is one of our environmental schools. We have two environmental schools here in São José. One is called School of the Sea, and one is the Parque Ambiental de Sabiás. The path of the portal is full of teachings about the native forest, and little by little, the students find the books that were missing. Excited with so many discoveries, the children go to the auditorium of the School of the Environment to write the content of the books with tips on environmental care. Using their imagination in the portal that makes the connection between past and future, they were able to unravel several riddles, mysteries, and becoming awake and making the people around them awake, gaining experiences and knowledge. Our students were able to argue and try to solve problems that they experienced. The deforestation, garbage, polluted water, destruction of the planet. And they started talking about preservation with sustainable actions, starting with small gestures. The immersive theater experience proposed by the project was a very pleasant surprise. The feedback from the teachers and the school principals and the students, it was extremely positive and made us reflect and modify the continuing education offered to the teachers in our network, extending and multiplying the format used in the project's actions for everyday school life. So this is a little of our experience with the project. It is really changing the day-by-day activities in our school and also the teachers' experience with the children.